Even the meme tool sometimes needs a little extra. Hi, and welcome back to the Messy Garage. Today I wanted to look at the meme tool's big brother, its taller cousin. I don't know, but I've been a big fan of this thing. I have taken mine on various road trips in old cars. I actually had another 80s BMW join the garage, and when you're driving around old cars, sometimes having a little tool like this that allows you to do things like adjust an alternator belt that's dead, and install a new one, all kinds of stuff. Having a screwdriver with an extension, an adjustable socket, all the things that makes the Icon bit ratchet kit a great thing. But of course, they didn't make it. Facom, Topdol, others have this essentially the same kit. One of them comes with some bits and things like that, which I don't prefer necessarily, and they cost 3 times as much. However, for about the same price as this from VIM, and I think VIM was probably the first person, at least in the US, to ship this thing from this ODM in Taiwan. So what VIM is doing is giving you, for about the same money as the Icon kit, which comes with all the bits, they're giving you a longer version with a longer, same extension, but the ratchet itself is longer, which gives you a little more reach. And occasionally I've been trying to get things with this. For example, the cap and rotor bolts on my old BMW, which has a thicker radiator than stock. Man, I couldn't get to the lower bolt and tried with this, but it wasn't quite long enough, even with this extension on it. So probably could have figured something out, but I used a different tool. But figured I'd have this as an extra in my kit, and today we're gonna have a look at it. Okay, so welcome back. And by the way, if you like this kind of stuff, please consider subscribing and liking the video if you do. It came out tidy. The one thing I kind of wanted to check out, or one of the several things, was, is this the same number of teeth? And I'm gonna have to do that off camera, but I will check. Feels the same. I'll have to see. I'll do actually some counting. And the other thing is, like, one of my only criticisms of the Icon kit is the socket adapter is slightly tall, and this one does appear to be slightly shorter, which, if the whole point of this tool is reach in tight spaces, I mean, I'll measure it out here with the calipers in a second, but that's a millimeter or 2 maybe shorter, and that can make all the difference in the world. So I'm actually kind of excited about that. I've actually bought a couple different of these looking for something that brings me a little shallower, so we'll measure that up as well. All right, so both of the mechanisms here, not surprisingly, appear to be the same. They're 60-tooth mechanisms. There are some differences, as I expected. So the Harbor Freight anvil, or whatever you want to call it, for the 1/4-inch drive is 20 millimeters, where this is 19 millimeters. And if you look at them on the sockets, I mean, it's obvious, but one thing I noticed, because I went ahead and took my Power Torque 10 millimeter, which, what else would you use? And put it in there and measured the height of the socket. And if you look at it on here, this totaled out to be 32¼ millimeters. And what you can kind of see right there is there's just a little bit of the post here, the hex post, showing. And that, again, totals to 32.25. But if you go here, it actually measures out to 30.9. So it's a little bit more than the difference between this and this anvil. And I'm not sure I'm getting good focus here, but if you look, there's less of that post showing. So that's, I believe, the extra 1/3 of a millimeter or so that you get here. That, it's not a fatal flaw, but I do have other things that, if they had the versatility of the flex and the extension and the T-handle and all the stuff these do that make me such a fan of them, they do offer more shallow access. So let's look at that real quick. So you guys may recognize these two guys. I've had them in videos before. I super love them. I had this one first, the Icon. Used it a ton. Still use it first, kind of, over the Snap-on, believe it or not. But the Snap-on's a little bit shallower, actually. So let's measure that up. And then this is my SK. I guess it's from the LP90 family. The Made in USA SK at the time. And it's really shallow. So let's put these things on and see how they measure up. All right, some results with measurements. Like we said, the Icon 1/4-inch adapter sticks out a little bit more, even like fully tensioned or whatever, than the one from VIM. And it gives it a millimeter, more than a millimeter advantage. I mean, the VIM one is actually roughly a millimeter shorter than this, but that shoulder also gives it some additional advantage. So 1.33 mm. But when you actually compare it versus these guys, it's pretty surprising what you get. So the Icon, which has a little bit thicker body, and about a 4 mm switch height off the back, which robs you a little bit, a couple millimeters compared to the Snap-on. That comes in at 34.5 millimeters. So again, the VIM is right at 31, like 30.9. The Icon is at 32.25. So the Icon Roto does give you some, it doesn't give you all the flexibility of the extension and all that, even though it's a little bit longer to start. Thicker head overall leads it to a 34.5 measurement with the super low profile. Where'd I go here? The super low profile power torque socket. So next up, the Snap-on, because the Snap-on has the thinner profile and the 2 mm shallower switch, comes in at 29.3. So, significantly lower, 5 millimeters lower than this, shallower, thinner than that, which is a big advantage if you're in a tight spot. But the SK is still a low profile champ. It comes in at 27.9 millimeters with the 10 millimeter socket on there. And, it does flex. It doesn't lock, and it doesn't have any ability for extension. And so it makes it a handy, like, tight spot ratchet, but it's not very flexible. It's not very versatile. But boy, it sure is shallow. So, I guess that kind of begs the question, what do you need? Well, the answer is you need probably not as many things as I've got. I'm crazy. But, I do think having something like, these, by the way, the extension is the same between the two kits, identical, other than one is labeled VIM and one is not. But, for versatility, when you're working in tight spots, my Mini is a tight little beast to work on. And, the flexibility of a locking head and the extension, and all the things these little flex bit ratchets can do, and this is a really nice long reach scenario, which would have been super helpful when we were tightening an alternator belt on the side of the road a little while back. So, the reason I have these things, the reason I decided to pick up this VIM kit, not knowing it would give me a little bit of advantage I've been looking for on this in terms of shallowness, but I like the idea of this extended reach. So, I'll continue to carry it, meaning the Icon kit, but I'll add this. I mean, how much extra room does that take up? None, so it's worth having some options and flexibility to get things done. So that's it from the Messy Garage. Hope this was useful. And as I said, if you like these or have any other ideas, please feel free. In the meantime, stay messy.